It is 4:45 a.m. I am just rising up, went into the shower, getting ready for the psalm, and I am blessed for this day. I am asking that my words and my meditation are acceptable to the Most High as I read our psalm today. It is Psalm 132. The Lord has chosen Zion. So we are going to translate this and dive into the psalm for today. Let's get going. So, okay. As we get the psalm of the day going, I just wanted to give thanks for this day and for everyone that's listening, that you are blessed, highly favored, and wonderfully made, that you know that. And in this psalm, we have 18 verses. So, and how it's in chunks. So we have verse 1 to 5. I'll read and I'll translate as I go. So you'll be able to, and I'm going to start a poll. Do you read the Psalms? Oops. Okay, so do you read the Psalms? That poll has been started. So we're translating now from the ESV, KSV versions into the version of no pronouns. So we've taken the pronouns out and we are going to look at, uh, we're going to look at the actual word that is being spoken. So in the first verse, the psalm is making a statement, and I like how it starts off with this word, remember, because a lot of us have forgotten who we are. A lot of us have forgotten who we are in terms of that goodness and that respect and worthy, valuing ourselves. There is a homeless lady in my community that sleeps in the street basically, and every time I see this lady, and I'm calling her a lady because that's what I see her as. I even When I see her, I call her queen. I say, blessed greetings, queen. You are queen, and I am trying to get her to remember who she is by every time she comes to me for $5 or $1. I always remind her that you're a queen. Even though you're homeless or you're sleeping in the street, you are a queen. And you have forgotten that. So in the first verse of this psalm, it's making a statement. Remember, remember. So a lot of times we forget. A lot of times we are selfish. We think about ourselves and we forget others. So I'm grateful for those who remember. So in verse 1, remember, O Jah, in David's favor, all the hardships David endured, how David swore to the Most High and vowed to the Mighty One of Jacob, quote, I will not enter I house or get into I bed. I will not give rest to I eyes or slumber to I eyelids until I find a place for the Most High, a dwelling place for the Mighty One of Jacob. End quotes, period. So that was verse 1 to 5. Let's unpack that. The psalm, this is a song of ascents, Ascents. And it's early. It's, 10 minutes to 5 in the rise. However, bear with bear with I and I as I get through unpacking this so early. I actually got up at 2, 2 something. I so remembering, David in this psalm is being referenced. So this is a song of ascents. It's not necessarily written by David. However, it's a song, and it's echoing David's favor. So the favor that the Most High has on David, thus the song is making a statement to remember that, and to remember the hardships that David endured, and how David swore to the Most High and vowed, to the mighty one of Jacob, that when David goes to his house, he's not, going to, or to his rest. When he goes to rest, he's not going to rest until he finds a place for the Most High, a dwelling place. So it's drastic. You're not going to rest until you find this place. And it's kind of sort of like, not sort of like, but similar to what I'm going through in terms of finding a space where infants, toddlers, preschoolers, after schoolers can have a structure, have a safe environment where they can learn, and where they're able to learn without being molested, without being yelled at, without being verbally abused, physically abused, mentally abused, just in a place where they are safe. And my vision is that this place I am not going to rest until I find a place for the Most High to have a safe home for children. And that to me is the place for the Most High, a dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob, that infants can be dropped off at this space, and parents can feel comfortable. They can there's an app that I'm creating that they can access information with the foundation of the pies, what I call the pies. And they can see their infant, they can see their children in the center learning. So while they're at work, they can tune in. They have to have a specific code in order to get in, because we don't want predators having access to children. And when you have a center for children, and you are creating a space, you want to have open space. So when I'm looking at verse 1 to 5, it's hitting me in terms of, that place I am trying to build, that is going to be ultimately for the Most High's children. These are innocents, these are innocents that we have to protect. So the psalm today is, it starts off with remembering, and it's getting to that space of I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that until I find this, until this piece has been satisfied. So as we go to verse 6 and 7, I'll go ahead and read that. Verse 6 and 7. This is Psalm 132 for those who are just coming in. The Lord has chosen Zion. And verse 6, behold, I heard of it. What is it? for a dwelling place, right? That is it. Behold, we heard of the dwelling place of them for the mighty one of Jacob in Ephrath. We found this dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob in the fields of Jar. Jaar. Okay. Period. Verse 7. It's a quote now. Let I go to his dwelling place. Who is his? His is the Most High. Let I worship at his footstool. Who is his? The Most High. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Okay. So in verse 6 and 7, it's starts off with behold. So when we look at that, it's making a statement as to this is where we've heard, we found, now let's go. Let's go, and we're going to go to the footstool of this one, right? The Most High. Now verse 8, 9, 10, and 8, 9, 10, I'll read that. That's in a chunk. And verse 8, arise. So in verse 6, we had behold, right? This is what we've heard. We found, this dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob, the dwelling place. And we're going to go there. We're going to go to the dwelling place of the Most High, and we're going to worship at the Most High's footstool. Then in verse 8, it's arise. Now it's a statement, a command, to the Most High of, rise and go to the resting place, your resting place. So it's speaking to the Most High, arise, O Lord, and go to your resting place, you and the ark of your might. So in verse 8, it's, making a statement that this is where the Most High is going to go to rest, to this place, to this dwelling place of the mighty one of Jacob, and go to the Most High's resting place, the Most High and the ark of the Most High's might. So when we unpack that, it is just not the Most High alone, but the Most High is taking along this ark of the Most High's might. So this ark that is being described, it's in the, when Noah built the ark is significant in this psalm in terms of that fortress of the Most High, that safety of the Most High. And that ark is mighty, and it's echoing verse 5 in terms of the mighty one of Jacob. So that mighty one of Jacob is from that lineage that the psalm expresses in the first verse in terms of David's favor, the favor upon David. So it's a lineage, and that lineage is expressed in this dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob. And that mighty one of Jacob, the Most High, is referenced as that lineage, that heritage. So when we look at verse 9, it's specifically talking about just as is let there be light. Let the priest of the Most High, and I've mentioned this before in terms of Melchizedek, was sent by the Most High to bless Abraham. Remember, Abram was Abram, and then he changed. his name changed to Abraham because he became born again into the knowledge of his faith in the Most High and that relationship with the Most High. So his name changed from Abram to Abraham. So when we look at verse 9, it's talking about the priests. So it's let the priests of the Most High be clothed with righteousness, and let the Most High saints shout for joy. So let's unpack that. The priests are clothed with righteousness. So they're not naked, they're clothed. And this clothing is a physical clothing, yet it's a righteous interpretation of that clothing. So and not just the priests, but the saints will shout for joy. So this resting place, this dwelling place of the mighty one of Jacob is going to be filled with people that are clothed with righteousness, that are called priests, and that want people that are going to be shouting for joy. They're not going to be screaming and shouting for, sadness and turmoil, as what is going to happen to those who go into wickedness or into unloving places and hateful negativity. It's going to be a shout for joy and happiness and islandness, goodness, mercy, love, kindness. It's like shout for joy. I've won the lotto. Okay, it's a shout, and this is who is going to be among the dwelling place of the Most High. So, and in verse 10, it's speaking of why this is all that. It's all that because of the sake, it says, it speaks of for the sake of the Most High servant David. David is now mentioned again. Do not turn away the face of the Most High's anointed one. So favor, David's favor, and David is the anointed one, and the face of the Most High will not turn away from that. So only those who are called by name, by God's name, is going to know what I'm talking about here, and or is going to know the ways of the Most High and the works of the Most High. And when we look at this Psalm 132, when we look at this Psalm 132 and verse 8, 9, and 10, it is expressing what is going to be around the Most High, and when you go to worship at the Most High's footstool. So that's why you see people bow their heads and close their eyes, and they want to humble and surrender themselves, their whole being, to that. And that is where they are in terms of their relationship to the Most High. However, I look at my relationship to the Most High as an awakening relationship. So I have to have my eyes open, my head up, my hands uplifted to receive that, because of that knowledge and awareness, and being cognizant of my words and the way that I am clothed with righteousness as described in verse 9. Let the priests of the Most High be clothed with righteousness, and let the Most High's saints shout for joy. Because why? For the sake of the Most High servant David, do not turn away the face of the Most High's anointed one. So in verse 11 now, 11 and 12, the verse 10 is giving us that reason. Verse 11 now is remembering that agreement, is remembering that covenant, is remembering that agreement. Remember The Psalm 132 began with remember. And now in verse 11, we're getting to see what we are remembering now. The Lord swore, the Most High swore to David a sure oath, from where David will not turn away, or which the Most High will not turn away. One of the sons of your goodie I will set on the Most High's throne. Period. Verse 12 starts with if, and I don't use if. If is a doubt. I don't use if. When the Most High sons keep the Most High's covenant and the Most High testimonies that the Most High shall teach the sons and daughters, sons and daughters also for all time to come shall sit on the Most High's throne. Okay, let's unpack that. 11 and 12, because 11 and 12 is referencing Haile Selassie I. It really is referencing that. And a lot of times we don't want to see the truth, because just like the Pharisees didn't want to see Jesus as a son of the Most High, that the Most High, is who is directing that one. So they crucified that one for that. But when we look at verse 11, the Most High swore. It's like you made an agreement to David, and David's heritage and lineage is from Queen of Sheba, Solomon, all of that. If you look at that, is Africa. That is Ethiopia. That is a place where we have individuals trotting and having a tradition of giving our worship to the Most High, to this one. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were cast in the fire because they, had a tradition. They refused to, worship anything else. So they were tried. They, just as Jesus, was crucified. These ones who were persecuted for righteousness' sake, as the verse 9 talks about, the priests will be clothed in righteousness, and they were, such ones are going to be persecuted. Now, this oath is an oath that is not going to be turned away. It's not going to be turned away. And verse 11 has a quote that keeps on into verse 12, that one of the sons of your body I will set on your throne. So this is significant right there. One of the sons of your body I will set on your throne. And who is that? Haile Selassie I is that one that was set on a throne, and is from that body, from that same DNA of David. You cannot deny that. That is just, I am not making that up or creating something just because I'm following a group. I am not a follower. I follow, that one that is dwelling inside of me, that is representing righteousness and goodness and love and mercy. And because of that, I have to embrace all that is righteousness and all that is goodness. So when one calls Jesus and, speaks of Jesus as there's no other name above Jesus, that is dictated by a system. And that system is outside of us. However, we have a system inside of us that is created, we call our spirit, I call righteousness. And the confusion of what that is has separated us from the truth. It separated us from the knowledge of the face of the Most High. And all the Psalms I've read have given a human attribute to the Most High in a physical human way, as we were created in that image. It's not, some kind of creature or being from outer space with, big eyes and, yeah, okay, fine. However, what is over that? Who is the creator? And I firmly know that there is a creator, the righteousness of the Most High. And that righteousness is a protection from any unclean creature or any unclean being. And even the beings that are outer space have to bow to the Most High and will worship at the Most High's footstool and do the Most High's bidding, whatever that bidding is. And the universe is a creation of that. So when you want to pray to the universe and, it's in the universe hand, who is the creator of that is the Most High, the Almighty, that's higher than, or, we standing in that knowledge we don't have. And I don't know if we ever will. As we are living on this earth, we are seeking that knowledge. And seeking that knowledge, not in a destructive or colonialistic and capitalistic way, but in a selfless way. Because the system has created, it is a selfish system, and it's created selfish people that's holding the system up. Because the people that are holding the system up are just about self-gain, what they can get for themselves, and not looking at a collective, just within their family. We have to know that we have family that may not be blood related, but we are all family in that we are sons and daughters of a Almighty, of the Most High, that makes us family. We are family. So when we talk about one of the sons of your body I will set on your throne, that's significant. Okay, that is significant, and it's directly signifying that Selassie the First, and that's why the name Selassie is so important and powerful, because it's not an English word. It means power of the Trinity. So that power of three has come now full circle in the embodiment and in the, existence of Selassie the First. However, we haven't been taught that. We haven't been taught about Selassie the First. We've been taught about Mussolini. We've been taught about Hitler. We've been taught about all these other, individuals who have came and, colonialized or capitalistic their ways through society. But we haven't been taught about Selassie the First, or what we have been taught is negative things, or things that are not based on, evidential facts, or things that have been made up. Just like they created Lassie the dog. Everybody knows Lassie, right? When you say, when you speak Lassie, you know that that's the dog. It was a dog TV show called Lassie. And it's interesting that they created that, because I would like to do more research to find out how they came up with that name, because it is right off of the name Selassie. So it's interesting, when we look at our society and we look at the scripture and we look at ourselves. So this is significant in terms of the Most High speaking that one of the sons of the Most High's body is going to set will be is going to be set on the Most High's throne. Verse 12 now talks about keeping this agreement, this covenant, and the testimonies of the Most High that the Most High is going to teach, and that the sons and daughters are also for all time, that is good, that they're going to sit on that throne, and that throne of the Most High. So when we look at verse 11 and 12 of Psalm 132, it hits home big time. A lot of theologians, I would like to hear your feedback. How do you look at this in terms of this one that's going to be set on the throne of the Most High, and that's going to sit on the Most High's throne forever, for all time? So when we look at verse 13 all the way to 18, we have like 6 verses remaining in this psalm. And verse 13 speaks on what the Most High has chosen. And the title of the psalm is "The Most High Has Chosen Zion." So in verse 13, the Most High has chosen Zion. And remember, I explained what Zion is. Zion was, this physical place of, sort of like heaven. And when we talk about Zion, we get and we go into what that is. It is this happy place, a place of righteousness, goodness, love, kindness. And that's what the Most High has chosen. So the name of that has been, expressed as Zion. So the Most High has chosen Zion, and that word Zion is referenced or defined as what is good and kind and upright. And that place, similar to the word love. Love is defined as being kind, merciful, all of this, right? So the word Zion is in that way representative of, God's place, heaven and there is a heaven on earth, just like there's hell on earth. So we could be physically living in heaven, or we could be physically living in hell, or we could be out of our bodies living in heaven, or we could be out of our bodies living in hell and roaming as a ghost on the earth, what they call duppies. So I'm a duppy conqueror. So I conquer all of those entities that are living in hell and are trying to connect with, heaven on earth, or connect in some way to continue to pass their hellish behaviors, onto other people. So when we look at Zion, we have to remember that what that represents, because the Most High has desired Zion for the Most High's dwelling place, and that is where the Most High dwells, in that righteous space, in that space of eternal love that is unconditional, that is it's the most powerful love that has created, human beings in the image of that, right? So in verse 13, the Most High has chosen that place. That's a desired, place for the Most High's dwelling place. And as the psalm began, is talking about this place, of that the Most High is going to go, that the Most High's resting place, right? So the psalm is ending with the description of that and the name of that place. So in verse 14, there's a quote: "This is I resting place for all time. This resting place I will dwell, for I have desired it." And this is the Most High speaking, right? This is my resting place for all time to come. Here I will dwell. This is the Most High speaking, for I have desired this resting place. Verse 15, now the quote keeps on. The Most High keeps on speaking: "I will abundantly bless her provisions." Now referring to this nice resting place as her. And provisions is, the fruits, stuff that you are producing, right? "I will abundantly bless her provisions. I will satisfy her poor with bread." So what does that mean? That is the same thing that Jesus spoke about. I came to give life and give it in abundance, right? That the Father sent him to do that. So the abundant bless is going to be in this chosen place of happiness. So you're not going to get blessed if you're angry, upset, have anxiety, depression, and going through all these different adverse emotions, and not knowing that you are worthy and you are valued by a great one, the mighty one of Jacob, as the Psalm 132 expresses. And that is going to bring satisfaction for the poor. And the poor will be satisfied with bread. And what's bread? Bread could be money, it could be food, it could be no more depression, it could, life. So the poor is going to be satisfied with bread. Okay, the provisions, these things are going to be in place. You may have $0 in your account, but guess what? Once you keep on the righteous path, be kind to each other, love each other, even the ones who you don't want to love, you still love, from a distance. I always speak of finding love in my pinky toe, finding that love for even, you don't have to be around negativity, but once it comes into your space, you have to conquer it with love, positivity, and righteousness. And because if you don't, it'll become an argument, and it'll be one negative trying to get over on another negative, and negative, negative, negative. And that's how people get hurt physically. There's violence. When you escalate into that, you become violent, and you go into another space That's not going to bring you satisfaction. Okay, it's not. So in verse 16, the priests are mentioned again, because the priests are mentioned in verse 9. Let your priests be clothed with righteousness, and let your saints shout for joy. In verse 16, it's speaking of Zion again, this place of goodness and love and righteousness as a female. Her priests I will clothe with salvation, and her saints will shout for joy. And that is mentioned with the saints shouting for joy, and the priests are clothed with righteousness. However, in verse 16, a female attribute is being given to this chosen place. And then in verse 17, there, check this out now, verse 17. This is Psalm 132, verse 17. Listen closely, because it starts with remember. Now, as we're getting to the end of the psalm, verse 16 talks about the priest being clothed with salvation. Okay, that is righteousness. Salvation and righteousness go hand in hand together. You can't have one without the next sort of thing. However, verse 17, the Most High is still speaking. It's in quotations. The Most High is still speaking. And the Most High speaks. There I will make a horn to sprout for David. Remember yesterday's psalm, I talked about the horn. The horn is the horn of Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a horn. It's sprouting out. And it's pointing where? Eastward, right? So the Most High is speaking of that there. Where's there? The Isla place, this chosen place of the dwelling place of the Most High, this beautiful, kind place of mercy and love, righteousness, goodness, respect. All of this is in that place. That's why I named my little dog Respect, because I want to get to that. So everything I do, it has to have significance toward the Most High. It has to. If I'm going to the bathroom, I'm taking a shower, the Most High is significant in my mind. I'm giving thanks for my legs that I'm washing clean, and I'm taking a bath and cleaning my body, that my goodie rather, because it's good. So when we look at this horn that's sprouting for David now, okay, I have prepared a lamp for my anointed. And what is a lamp? A lamp has what in it? It has fire, right? It's light. It's a light. That lamp is a light. And who is that light for? It's for God's anointed, for Jah's anointed. That is a place in Zion, and Zion is represented as this happy, beautiful place where the Most High is going to make a horn to sprout for David, and the Most High has prepared a lamp for the Most High's anointed. And remember, who is that Most High's anointed? David's favor, the mighty, and this mighty one of Jacob has been given an agreement. They made an agreement with the mighty one of Jacob. They vowed to the mighty one of Jacob that they're not going to find a place, a dwelling place for the Most High, right? And why is all of this necessary? Why is there's a horn that's going to sprout for David, and there's a lamp that's going to be prepared for the Most High's anointed? Why is all this happening? Verse 18 ends it. The enemies of the Most High And the Most High is still speaking now, talking about his enemies, David's enemies. His enemies I will clothe with shame, but on him his crown will shine. Period. End of quote. Give thanks. The Most High is speaking of David's heritage. That David's enemies, he's going to clothe with shame. Remember, who is going to feel shame is the wicked. The wicked is going to be shame. They're going to feel shame. The righteous should not feel ashamed because the righteous knows of righteousness and mercy and love and kindness. So they're not out there stealing and being shameful for their wrongdoings. But the enemies is going to be clothed with shame. However, on David and David's anointed, because it talks about the sons, one of the sons of your body I will set on your throne. Okay? And verse 18, God is speaking that David's enemies is going to be clothed with shame. However, on David's crown will shine. So his enemies going to be, this way, in this shameful way. However, on David, and David's anointed, right? Solomon, David, Selassie the first, those who are called by John name, okay? But on those ones, his crown will shine. His crown will shine. On him, his crown will shine. So who is him? Who is his enemies? David and David's anointed. Though the enemies of that, and the enemies of that is the enemies of righteousness. And if you look at the Rastafarian brothers in Jamaica who were persecuted, they were persecuted, right? They were the stone the builder refused. Because why? They are from that lineage of David. In verse 17, there I will make a lamp I will make a horn to sprout for David. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Selah and Selah again. Bless that my words and my meditation are acceptable in the sight of the Most High, the Almighty. Give thanks for this word. This Psalm 132, the Most High has chosen Zion, is a revelation. Everybody should read this Psalm. Seriously read it and dissect it, not die. Unpack it. Unpack it. Open it up and unpack it. Each verse. Okay, each verse. My favorite verse of this Psalm is when the Most High speaks in verse 17. There I will make a horn to sprout for David. I have prepared a lamp for my anointed. His enemies, David's enemies, I will clothe with shame. However, on David's crown will shine. And it's going to keep shining throughout generations and generations and generations. Selah and Selah again. This has been the word of the Most High. Thank you so much for listening to this word. Let's get into the word of the day. The word of the day is wise mind. In the English language, it's wisdom. In the words of liberation, it is wise mind. I wise mind to discern life's direction. So This is from dailyword.com. It is published by Unity Publishers, and it's a word every day supported by a scripture. This one is supported by Psalm 49, verse 3. My mouth shall speak wise words. The meditation of my heart shall be standing firm in righteousness. Okay, it's understanding, but I don't use the word understanding because I don't want to be under a stand. I want to stand firm in righteousness. So I'm standing, not understanding, but I'm standing firm. Okay, or you're gonna feel worm. That's what that's what is always, well, you stand firm or you're gonna feel worm. So we want to stand firm, and in that standing firm, the word of the day, wise mind. For today, Thursday, February 8th. When I turn I attention to I feelings and pay heed to what I intuition is telling I am using I divine gift of wise mind, knowledge, and standing firm. I may gather information from all kinds of sources. I may rely on the counsel and teachings of family and friends, or even seek the advice of professionals like a therapist, right? I have a therapist, and it's okay. It's good to have someone to talk to that is a professional and get advice, right? You have a financial counselor. You have a financial advisor. You have, a tax person. So you do reach out to professionals for advice. However, ultimately, the information I gather from the outside cannot match the power of I wise mind, I ability to discern I next few steps or embark upon the perfect path. I co-create with God, with the Most High, through my wise mind. I inner knowing, I gut feelings are nudges from righteousness. Okay, it's spoken of here as spirit. I don't use the word spirit, I use righteousness. Cut to the chase and get right to that is. So that is what it means about purifying the word 7 times in the fire before you open your mouth. So instead of me speaking the word spirit, that could be all kinds of spirits. There's all kinds of spirits out there, like I mentioned. People could be physically not here, but they're living in heaven, or they're living in hell. People could be physically here, like I'm here, and I could be living in hell, or I could be living in a heavenly place, as the Psalm today, 132, expresses about this chosen place of the Most High. That is what I want to build. I want to build a dwelling place that when the Most High comes, the Most High can sit down and have a relationship with me, and not want to be like, I don't want to go in there because there's pork in there, there's meat, there's flesh, there's people playing video games that's killing and shooting. All of that stuff I don't want in my space. I want to create a dwelling place that the Most High is going to come to and sit and know that there's kindness and love all around. There's music, there's adulation, all of that. So that's why I don't use the word spirit. I use the word righteousness. I move in the direction of I greatest growth. I path may not be the easiest one, or the one that seems to make the most sense. Okay? Like, why am I up in the freezing cold teaching when I could be on a nice warm island, right? It may not make sense. However, I trust I inner wise mind, the voice of God within, the voice of the Most High within. So Selah and Selah again. This has been the word of the day, wise mind. So go out there and use your wise mind, okay? Use your wise mind to discern and to listen to that gut feelings that is nudges from that righteousness. You have a good angel and you have a bad angel. You want to burn that bad angel out with love and kindness and goodness so they disappear completely out of your space. And you do that with the words that you speak. You speak words of life, that's what you're going to get. You speak words of death, that's what you're going to get. Death, depression, and anxiety. So go out there and share your wise mind. Let your mouth speak wise mind, wise words, and let the meditation of your heart be standing firm in righteousness. So when your heart is meditating, meditate on what is good and loving and kind and righteous, not what is revenge and you want to get somebody back because they hurt you. No, don't have that in your heart. Let that out, let that go, extinguish that, and let the lamp of light burn inside you. Have a blessed day. Go out there and Suradokna, do good. All right? Take good care.